Hello, good morning and welcome to another session. Today we have so many interesting things to learn and thank you for trusting KTech Innovative Tech. We are going to be learning some very important concepts, especially for beginners today. We are going to understand why we need to model, the place of modeling in the development of a software application. You might be asking yourself so many questions. I want to be a software engineer. I want to be a programmer. Why should I model? Why should object-oriented modeling be one of the aspects I must grab? In our lesson today, we are hoping to share with you our thoughts in these domains. First of all, as I said earlier, you're welcome. And our topic for today is centered around notions of UML and system analysis. Now, what is the plan for today? Our plan is to understand the notions of UML, understand what is system analysis, what is an analysis, and especially what requirements are all about, and the places or the place where each of these items fall in the development of a system. Then we'll obviously end with our practical lab sheet solving. First of all, once more, you are welcome. We may be familiar with the system analysis and design, that's on which some textbook expresses it in 5 stages, some in 6 stages, and others in 7 stages. But our focus today will be in those 2 stages, the analysis stage and the design stage. The analysis stage, as you can see, consists of requirement analysis, prototype, remodeling of requirements. The design phase focuses more on project planning, makeups, GUI designs. Someone will ask, why is there need for an IT project manager? The effective management of the development life cycle of a project or a system needs planning. It needs someone to follow up. That's why I see some diagrams you have planning. Planning here is not only about doing feasibility study, but ensuring that the life cycle of the system will be short, effective, to meet the requirements and the needs of the user. So that is why project managers, IT project managers has become a new emerging field where many people are actually coming into. Now, before a system is developed or implemented, there is need for system analysts, those who do the requirement analysis, that try to do modeling and prototyping, those who convert the output. Remember the deliverable of the analysis phase, which is the SRS, the software requirement specifications become an input for designers to bring out the design document specification, which we are going to be seeing more of this in our subsequent videos. Now, what is UML in itself? First thing you should know is that UML is not a programming language. It's an object-oriented method modeling language. That is why UML first is the unified modeling language. We both communicate differently based on our sociological background, where we grow and the kind of things we interact with. But with the unified modeling language, we have an opportunity to share our ideas using a unified way of communication. We model with a language that is unified, which everybody understands the same thing. And it's an object-oriented analysis and design language, as I mentioned. So it helps you to describe in a textual, graphical, or diagrammatical manner what the system will be all about, because it's possible for you to understand and describe the needs of the users. What are the different things you can represent using UML? You can represent the activity of an object. Remember, in object-oriented programming, an object is an instance of a class. You can represent actors, the various processes, the database schema, the software components, the design patterns. There is a reusable components of our system. Now, why should we study UML? UML exposes us to 2 different types of diagrams, the structural diagrams and the behavioral diagrams. We are going to see it more in our subsequent lessons. why UML is so particular and what are behavioral diagrams and what are structural diagrams. But UML exposes you to all of these diagrams, making your work more efficient and evaluating the progress of your work in the domain of modeling with UML is effective. Now, why should someone choose UML? Being a unified modeling language first, as we know, communication is unified and it helps to, its result help in lowering the overall cost, making the software reliable and efficient. And it betters the relationship between the parties involved since we study the behavioral diagrams. So in the behavioral diagrams, we get to study the various parties that are involved, their relationships among them, in order to effectively make sure that the system is not a bad system. All components are working together to achieve the central objective. Now, what is system analysis in itself and why do we do it? We study system analysis with a purpose to understand the system, the various parts of the system, and what the objective of the system will be all about. So it's a technique that ensures that all components work effectively, as I said, to achieve a common purpose. And the analysis specify what the system should do and not how the system has to do it. So it specifies what the system should do. We should take note about that. And what is an analysis all about in itself? Maybe asking ourselves that question. Breaking down a whole, something big, into various parts with the intention of understanding the nature of the various parts, how it functions, and how the parts can be interacting with each other, what the relationship between the parts is the purpose of analysis, and that is what analysis is all about. Now, your question may be, I want to develop a system. Why should I analyze? First of all, before you develop a new system, you must understand the existing system. Before you solve a problem, you must understand the existing solution. It's only when you understand the existing solution and you know the existing solution perfectly well that you can identify areas where improvement needs to come. And when you identify the improvement that needs to be done on the existing situation, then you can propose a requirement for the new system, which is known as a to-be system. So building a system in a blank space or without studying other systems, you might be confronted with building something that is worse than what is already existing in the market. So it's important you study what others do, you identify the possible improvements, and then you propose a new system. Now, when we are proposing the new system, we come across requirements. We're going to see it each into different videos. We come across requirement. And the requirement here is a statement that specifies what the system you want to build must do and what characteristics need to have. Based on what the system must do and the characteristics the system need to have, you can have now a criteria to judge the effectiveness of the system. Before you state what the system must do or what characteristics the system must have as requirements, you must understand various requirements, which the first is the business need, the business requirement. Which nobody get into coding, nobody get to development of a system that will not be beneficial for the society. So business, how important, what are the requirements, the business requirement needed for that system to be developed? What are the user requirements? What does the user need to do? The person bringing the work, what does the user need to do for you or for that system to be developed? Now, when the business and the user requirement are well spelled out, then now the system analyst in its software requirement specification or system requirement specification, he cannot specify functional requirements, talking about the should-do requirements of the system, and the non-functional requirement, talking about the characteristics the system needs to have. Based on this, then we can talk about the system requirement, how the system needs to be built. So these are some very important aspects, and these are some reasons why we should model. Thank you very much and see you shortly.